Yeah, well,
Okay, time to start the meeting.
I just been for seeing, is that a good place for
Tom's
them to
talking.
have their stuff? So-
Go ahead, Tom. All right, we're gonna need a little extra time today to do the demo here. Troy is gonna take apart Carl's saw and we gotta get it back together before I give it back to Carl, otherwise he's just out of a saw. So we'll try to kind of run right through the meeting.
You can always use that as an excuse to buy a new saw.
Okay, there you go. Are there any new members or visitors here today? Anybody? Oh, yeah.
Bring him the mic down.
Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name's Lee Metzger. Play golf with Warren here. He's a little bit better than me, not much, but he is a little. And, I'm a bowl turner. And so he said, bring a couple of bowls. I got more than a couple. They're over there if you want to take a look at them. You have any questions? That's what I do. And maybe I'll start to roll and I don't think so. Looks like a lot of work.
Turning first.
2 years now.
Yeah. You belong to the Turners Club?
No, I haven't been doing anything yet.
You're on your own.
This is my first meeting, any club, so,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm looking for a bowl turn. So, we'll see.
okay.
We'll see if they accept it.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Lee. Welcome to the meeting. Can you hear me okay in the back? All right. All right, Katie has some name tags. There's a couple of them left back there. If you see your name, go ahead and grab your tag. Is there anybody that doesn't have a tag yet?
I forgot, but you got
Lori.
it.
So see Katie if you need a tag. Secretary's report. I don't think Steve is here. Steve is here. Steve, do you have anything to add? Okay. The treasurer's report, Helen, would you have a treasury report for this month?
I do, I'm pulling it up. Oh, just give me a minute.
Okay.
Give her a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, my voice doesn't carry. There's a lot of mics. Good morning. In our checking account, we opened this month with 3,403.66, and we ended the month with 3,321.49. We paid the expenses for the Girl Scout training. I've written a couple of checks since then. We'll talk about them next month. And we have $80.75 in pay cash.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Second? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. And we are paid up through November here at St. Luke's. And then after that, we think we're gonna go ahead and just pay for the rest of the year. So next month, Helen can make out a check and we'll just slide it under the door. Everybody's okay with that? Okay. New business, Roger, how about a TLC toy report?
Yeah, last time we took in, well, let's see, 840 cars. We got a total this year of 1,025 in cars. Paintables, we took in 275, and we're up to 1,174. So it's looking really good. And I've got a lot of wood out there for people to take. I don't want to take it all home. So help yourself.
Patterns?
And we got patterns back there as well. We also have stuff from Gary's. If you want to donate to the club or whatever you want to take, that's fine. All the donation goes to the club. And Gary's wife is doing just fine.
Good.
So, but he had hidden stuff that she didn't know about, so here he is.
He probably got up in the attic there in the garage. Over here on the table. There's a router table and there's a guide for the saw and some other things there. So take a look at them. Don Gore, State Fair Report and Awards.
Well, we have, only 2 recipients of 3 awards, which is kind of great. These 2 guys, now we buy frames to give, the certificates in. But these 2 guys, I'm thinking about getting them albums because of the most, they get so many awards. The, and their pictures, or their art takes up so much space that maybe putting their stuff in albums would be a little better. Anyways, the first one I have is for Clinton, and if you come up.
You want me to do the camera?
That would help. You be the camera person.
Microphone. Let's take a picture here for the newsletter. And so this is a $25 gift certificate, or not gift certificate, check for your Scrollsaw and Tarja Award. That's the Swede Memorial Award too. That was our very first. And thank you. If you want to talk about that, stand by it first, and then I want to bring Troy up also so that I can get a little.
Take the picture.
Yeah, now somebody has to take a picture.
All right. One more volunteer here. Warren. Camera's right.
It's right there.
Katie, where are you?
Hiding.
Oh. Okay. All right, thanks. I got 3. Stay here.
I could tell us briefly about it.
Hey, go ahead.
It's my honor to receive this award. Feel like it's quite an achievement.
Right in front of this.
This is one of a series that I've done, and I have these in my house. I have a whole gallery that takes up. I started with one room, and the walls are all completely covered. And I ran out of room there, so I started going into another room. And I've got about half of that one filled. I never sell any of my stuff, so I either keep it myself or give it to mostly family. And I make Christmas presents for several family members every year, usually about a dozen. I let them pick out their own pattern and then I make them for them. Not this big, but anyway, that's how I spend my time. And my wife passed away in 2020. And so now I don't have anybody to tell me what I can or can't do. And how much time I can spend at it.
So what inspired you to make this particular one?
I'm running out of large intarsia patterns to do.
Yeah.
There's a very limited number that I've been able to find, and I've done most of them. I have not done the Last Supper yet, and not sure if I will. There's so many faces to do, and faces are really tough. So anyway, I appreciate the award. I appreciate the association.
Very nice.
Our second awarder is, awardee is, Troy Buchan. If you come up, Troy. This year, Troy entered two areas and he won both of them. He won the large one for Scrollsaw artistry, overall artistry, and the smaller one won for fretwork. I'm going to put the mic down so we can have a picture here. Well, this has your membership. Okay. Through 2027.
You gotta have that in between. Let's. Whoops.
Okay. So I'll let Troy tell you about these.
Sure.
This is fascinating.
So the pyramid here, I saw, this is a German, called German Christmas pyramid. Traditionally, they're more Christmas themed. And I saw some in a shop in Stillwater that specializes in German. They said they had cuckoo clocks and they had some pyramids like this, not quite like this, but they were really, really expensive. And I understand it's a lot of, I know how much work goes into these. And I was looking at my wife and like, I can make one of those. And it took me about 6 months to find this pattern. There are not any patterns available in the US for these. Well, I said there's one place that had them, but I couldn't get them to respond to me. So after a lot of looking on a Facebook forum I was in, this guy mentioned, hey, check out this German website, a little company out of Germany called AC Holzkunst. And they had all these pyramids, and this is just one of them. This is one of the big ones. They have smaller ones, they have one that's even a little bit bigger. And I used Google Translate to see their site, it was all in German. And they said they shipped everywhere in the world, but they didn't list the US. So I sent them a very polite email. I said, hey, I'm in the US. I want to buy a couple of your patterns. Are you willing to sell me? Next day I got a mic that said, yeah, tell us what you want. We'll send you a PayPal link. We'll ship them to you. So a couple weeks later, they came in the mail. This pattern is really old. And not just that it's an old pattern, the pattern is really old. I don't even think they know where they got it. They basically said that once they're gone, they're gone. And they have this old stock of these patterns. It was on a really thin paper. It was an old like mimeograph. And I had to take it to Kinko's and try to scan it through the scanner, and it kept jamming the scanner with such thin paper. But I did get the scan. And then what it is that every panel on the bottom, this is actually a base, this is an optional base for this pyramid. This is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And then every other panel are different Grimm's fairy tales. So very German, Grimm's fairy tales are very German. But the thing is, it doesn't tell you what Grimm's fairy tale it is. So I spent another long time, I have a big old book that I got years ago of every Grimm's fairy tale. And I literally kept flipping through until I could figure out, some of them are pretty easy. I mean, this is easy, obviously the Frolic Prince. If you're familiar with the Musicians of Breslin, this one's pretty easy. But some of these took me quite a while to figure out, like, I turn it here. This is Rumpelstiltskin, Sleeping Beauty, Mother Hulda. These are all different Grimm's fairy tales. And I guess some of these are probably more popular in Germany than the US because it's a German pattern. So then we have, this is called Brother Sister. This is the Star Tailor. And this, well, this is the Little Red Riding Hood. That one was hard, I don't think we figure out. And then there's Hansel and Gretel, the Battling Tailor, and Seven Brothers on the other side. So I started working on this around Christmas. I had some time off of work, and I'd finish by Easter. So the fellowship, I didn't make these. I didn't make the little finial. That was a kit that came that I ordered with it. Came with the rod, but everything else I did do myself. So I came with all the wiring, the little sockets. These are meant to hold candles, but I electrified it because I wanted to be electric, and I added the motor.
did all the wiring, all the lighting, figured that all out. And then, yeah. And then entered in the fair. So, and like you can see inside here, there are little turntables that turn and there's little figures. This is part of the pattern. There's a little hunt, there's a guy foraging for mushrooms, there's deer. So, and then it's all made out of maple, all resawn maple that I saw down the 4 inch. And typically these are made out of plywood, but I didn't like the way plywood looked. I wanted to be maple, so I made it all out of maple.
Were these, interior figures on the pattern?
They were part of the pattern,
So
yep.
it's supposed to go
Yep,
down?
yep, it's supposed to have a little turntable with the figures. And I just cut those out of maple, cherry, and for a little contrast.
Very nice.
And this, I've actually shown this here before because I entered this in the contest down at the woodworking show in Dubuque, Iowa last year. But this is my cherub coffer, which I actually made for my wife for her birthday. And it is maple and black walnut. And this pattern comes from a website called Scrollsaw.com, and he's out of Spain. And this is actually a really old pattern as well. I know I like old patterns. So this is an Italian pattern from around 1900. But what he does is the guy I buy him from, he actually takes the pattern and redoes it in AutoCAD. So this pattern was done like in a mimeograph where you can see the dots. It was really hard to cut. You had to kind of just figure out. This pattern was extremely precise. It's like, this is just an ancient copper, just basically a big box. And this one, I don't know, I don't know, it took me a while. But the neat thing is I did send him a picture. I said, hey, you know, I really love your pattern. I've done a few of his patterns. I love your pattern, and here's a picture of the one that I did. And if you go to the website and click on this design, there's the pictures that I took from my box, are the ones he used for the example. But again, it's a lot of fun.
Very nice. Thank you, Troy. Congratulations. And I've been to Clinton's house, and it is no exaggeration. His walls are covered with things, and I'm sure he'd probably be glad to have you over if you wanted to see some of that. Yep. Warren?
Clinton also brought in that other piece there.
Which one's this?
This one? That one also has one.
That pattern is from the same guy in Spain, Troy's.
Oh, okay. That got a first prize too. Very nice. The bowls?
Phone,
Bone?
phone, telephone, cell phone. On the job of it.
This? It's not a cell phone.
Oh,
That's for sure.
sorry.
Oh, okay. Maybe looks like a phone. Okay. Troy, November's program, today's program is going to be with the saw, but now November's program, you're going to have 3 different saws.
Possibly 4.
Possibly 4. So if anybody wants to try out one of them, that's the whole idea, right?
Yep, we're gonna set them all up, talk about the differences.
Okay, in December, are we just gonna have a Christmas party? Is that kind of what we're looking
Yeah,
at?
traditionally we can set a party in December, so I think.
We'll just come in and socialize and, okay,
I'm working on January.
all right. Carl, would you like to comment on the YouTube recordings of our meeting?
I don't know that there's much to say. We got an email from a gentleman that was interested in joining, but he wouldn't be, he came across our Facebook or our website and wanted to join, but was interested in what Troy is gonna do as far as disassembling this thing and replacing the bearings. And so, but the question, but we look at these things, he says, are they available afterwards? And I said, yeah, we put them up on the YouTube site. So I was just kind of curious, general consensus is there, you know, is there a reason why we should be, you know, what's the benefits of this club if all of our meetings are online? And is that discouraging people from joining because they can get to the meetings? I don't know what the general consensus of what that is. I think we talked about it at a board meeting. Yeah, go ahead and do that. I think the benefit of being in this meeting, joining the club is is the knowledge and information that we share with each other. You know, we got questions, we got these things, you just really can't get that information, from a YouTube video. So,
Or are we gaining exposure here?
well, or are we gaining exposure? Yeah, by putting it out there. I mean, people see this information and they say, hey, I want to become a member. I want to be part of it. So I guess that was really what I was just a question to everybody.
Don?
Well, I would say part of being a member is you have access to the website that non-members don't have. Patterns and things like that we share and stuff like that. We could, you could lock up the membership from seeing
The YouTube videos?
the YouTube videos. I don't,
I thought about that too, it would manually, I'd have to go in there and, somebody would say, I want to see these videos, and then I would let them in if they were a member. So that's an option too. Do we want to make those meetings only for members?
I always thought the YouTubes would be for a broader audience outside of the Twin Cities. You know, 'cause if you see the YouTube, actually, you don't have any of the interaction between
Right.
members that you would have if you came to the meeting.
Right.
And I think that's more, to me, is more the attraction of the membership.
And I agree, and the gentleman did respond and say, hey, I do plan to join. In fact, Helen had reached out to him and said, if you want to join and send me a check, here's my address, so. We'll see what happens from there, but I think the benefit of being a member is just that interaction with everybody. So.
Well, I think we could just go right ahead for another month or so, see how it goes. We haven't had any problems.
No.
With any problem, online business, so I'd say let's keep doing it.
Right.
If we can get a member or two out of it, so much.
Have you got any idea what kind of viewership you have of online? Or how many
I haven't looked. I do have, they do have statistics of who's looked at it, but maybe that's something I'll do.
It might be interesting to
Yep.
know
How many people are
views,
looking
how
at-
many views
Yep.
you're actually getting.
Yep.
Okay. All right, next item, Woodworkers Guild Expo. That's gonna be next weekend on Saturday, October 12th, 9 AM to 4 PM at the State Fair Progress Center. So the center for or activities building that we were in, as I take it, this is on the north end of that line of buildings. The one that had that big Paul Bunyan made out of junk. That's the best way I could describe it. And it's got a big, blade for a electrical or a, windmill. Yep. So go there. There's parking on either side. I think we can park on the east side. And we have two 10-foot tables and bring stuff to display. And we'll get there early. It starts at 9 AM. So let's be there by at least for sure 8 o'clock. And if you need extra time, enough to set up stuff, come earlier than that. We have a couple of saws. So Jeff, are you bringing a saw?
Yeah.
And who else is bringing a saw? Roger. It's 2 saws. Okay.
We don't all have to be that late, do we?
I don't think so. It starts at
Work in the
9.
afternoon.
Oh, well, yeah, just come in when you're ready. And other than that, I would say, thanks, Angela, for your help on all this. We are getting our tables for free, but if anybody asks you, they're $100 a table, so we've got a good deal there. Any questions on that? All right, next item, St. Luke's Holiday Market. Now that'll be in November, Friday, November 8th, noon to 7, and Saturday, November 9th, 9 to 3. And we've set up a schedule, and people are signed up to work different 3.5 hour shifts, and it's all evened out. It looks really nice. We've got a lot of volunteers, so we should be doing well. So what we want to do is next month, we want to bring in all the items that we're going to sell. Maybe if you think of some more later, you can just bring them in, but we want the bulk of it at the next meeting, so I can take it home or whoever, and then we will bring all of it in Friday morning. and say about 10:30 or so, and we'll set up a couple of tables. And then that first group will set everything up. Carl?
How many items are we bringing? Because there's no point, if we sell out on Friday, there's no point on being here on Saturday. So I was just kind of curious. I asked Mike and he says, a lot. Well, how
I
much is
think
a
a
lot?
lot.
Who's bringing stuff? I mean,
Yeah, because it's 9 to 3. So
Yeah.
it's a full day.
well, it's
Yeah.
9 to 3 on Saturday and
Yeah,
and it's
I
till
know.
7 o'clock on Friday, although people work on Friday. And talking with Cheryl, who runs this place here, she says, you know, people work on Friday, so, you know, you might get more traffic on Saturday, but if we've only got like 10 items, we're gonna be done soon,
Oh,
right?
I think we'll have plenty.
We'll have more than 10 stuff.
Okay,
I can clean out a closet.
okay, all right, okay.
Let's get a show of hands of how many people think of like having something to give away.
And you don't necessarily have to be working the show to bring items in next month. So we may have a lot of stuff,
Okay.
all right?
Like, is it the 8th, 9th, and 10th?
No, it's just 2 days. It's Friday, November 8th, noon to 7, and Saturday from 9 to 3.
They're supposed to ask every.
So those that are getting Steve Good's, emails, he sends out daily, he sends out patterns, and stuff like that. He put together a project calculator, a craft project calculator that, and I was thinking, I saw it, oh, how timely, because if you're trying to price your items that you want to sell and you don't know what you're gonna sell it for, I can send out the project calculator to the group and you can use that. It basically says, you know, what's the cost of material? What's the cost of, how many hours did you put in? What's the other types of costs to do, right?
Send it to everyone.
And, some of it you may know, I don't know how much, what time I spent on it, but it'll give you a rough idea. So,
Send it
All
to
right.
everyone.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Price to sell, you want prices on everything on it, you know, ahead of time.
Yeah,
Okay,
brings me to the next item. I'm gonna send around these stickers, and if you have items, take a few stickers, however many you think you need. Put them on there and put your dollar amount and your initials. So if I put $1 and MZ on it, if it doesn't sell, I can get it back, or we can get it to the person whose item it was.
What if you don't want it back?
Then you're in trouble, because you're getting it back. That'll be our December meeting. You're gonna get a present and we can all exchange.
If you do have stuff back, is there someplace we could donate these to that might take them to?
You know, if it was holiday items, we could probably take them over to,
No, that's what I was saying, you know, it's just
You
like,
do that,
so
or the
people want
festival
to do
here?
that and want to get rid of some stuff.
yeah, we could maybe go over to Creekside there and donate them to the boutique for their holiday, sure. Roger?
You know, even some of these patterns here are real simple to make. A lot of it's all Christmas stuff.
Yeah,
It's at Christmas time.
it'd be
They should
perfect.
sell.
It'd be perfect.
They're not big money items, but, people like those little things.
Well, this is the first time they've done this holiday market. I thought this had gone on for 10 years or something. So this is sort of a new thing. It'll be a little bit of an experiment. And so this will all be learning for everybody. So I think we're gonna get one 8-foot table. Maybe that isn't enough, I don't know, but hopefully it is. And we'll just keep putting up items as we sell them and
Or you could rotate them too.
rotate things through.
We could use our little Minnesota cutouts and sell them for $1. You know?
Yeah, I'll bring them.
Yeah, Rogers can bring some of those. I think they'd sell. Yeah, and if we have too much stuff, we'll just put up what we can and we'll sell it. And then next year
Once
we'll,
it sells, you just replenish it.
yeah, next year we'll expand. So, let's see. So what I think I will do is bring in like $100 worth of change in 5s and 1s. And Roger, you're gonna supervise on day 1 and Warren's gonna work Saturday. And those guys will be in charge of the money. So at the end of the day, I'll probably come back and then 2 or 3 of us can count the money. We'll go back to $100 in there, that'll be mine. The rest of it, that's our profit for the day, and then we'll write that down. So then we can tell how we're doing, and we got a good count on the money, and all the money extra will go into the club.
Are you gonna do anything like BMO or something? So people don't have to have cash, if somebody's selling something for $100.
Well, been asked that. I don't think so. I think we're gonna have just cash only, because most of our stuff should be, inexpensive items. We don't want to go. Don?
I thought we were donating it to the church.
No,
Oh, no, that's gonna be donated to the club. We rent the table from the church, and that's all they want. So it costs us $40 for the table, and then we keep whatever profits. So this is clearly for the club. Any other questions about that? So bring everything you have to the November meeting, and I'll send out a reminder, or Carl will, to the people that are signed up, but it should go to everybody, really, because anybody can donate items. You don't necessarily have to work the show to do that.
hey, Mike, I got plenty of wood out there if anybody needs some for these projects.
All right, see Roger at break time and get some wood.
I got a whole car full.
Oh, my goodness. All right, we keep going, I guess. We're doing well with TLC, so thank you, everybody, for that effort on that TLC items. All right, any old business that we've had? All right, let's move on to show and tell. We'll do that, and then we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll get into the program, because we may need a little extra time. There's a couple items up there.
Now, I've got it. I wanted to show something first. When, a couple of years ago, my wife and I went to
Costa Rica, and we came to this restaurant, Tropica. And I thought, that's a cool idea. And so I decided to come up with my own version of that, which is basically, so I just used some of this live edge wood and did a pattern on that. And when we'll put that in there, we're gonna replace this material because it's starting to shred. So we got some new material that'll breathe with plants, but this is kind of an idea off of the what was done in Costa Rica there.
And where I get my haircut, they sell products and it's called a relay or something like that. And they had this little metal object here with a relay on it. I kind of liked it, so I took a picture of it and made a pattern. And if you look, you can see it's a woman, hair is flowing, her leg, and the head is up here on the top. And so it was kind of a fun piece to do.
Very nice. Thank you, Tom. We have a lot of goals.
I brought a lot of bowls and I get really compassionate about making these bowls. It takes me less than a day. I have a piece of tree or something, cut it up, put it on the bowl, and this is what I get. I don't know what I'm going to get. You guys know what you're going to get when you get done. I don't. But I know you guys are very compassionate about what you make. And I appreciate that. I've seen some really nice stuff. I used to belong to a wood shop down in Arizona, and there was a lot of scrolls down there, big saws and everything. And anyway, I got on the lathe and I started making stuff on it. And it's a lot of fun. You see, I got some trees here, and that's part of the branch on the tree. So you can see what I started with. A lot of fun making it. My wife saw one of those on, I don't know if she saw it on YouTube or what. She says, can you make me one of those? But it wasn't one, she wanted two. I ended up making 6 because I started, it was fun. And then I made a few of these snowmans. I got maybe 3 at home. I made two for the grandkids, so they got some. This, I don't, somebody brought me the wood, and I don't know what kind of wood it was. I could go back and ask. This is what you get when you don't know what you're doing. You just scroll. I mean, you just cut. Sure, yeah. This year is from Arizona, that's, elliptical tree, maybe? Eucalyptus tree, I can't even pronounce it, that's what they told me what it was. This, tree fell in my backyard, was my neighbor's tree. So I cut up to the fence, and, took those pieces and made something. And, I made two of these things. This, I don't know what kind of wood it was, but, and this is, I know this is maple. But anyway, this is red oak, and I cut this tree down. We have a place in, Sherwood Forest by Mille Lacs. Maybe some of you guys know about that place. But we had to have a tree cut down, and it was a red oak. So this is, part of that, and I've got a lot of it in my garage. Anyway, that's what I do. Thank you very much.
Very nice. Come on up and take a look at all this stuff. There is a keychain and a lion there. Does anybody know who that's?
Done.
Don, that's yours?
Yep. Kind of like these aren't the things I made, these are things I picked up by Carl, and he's made something. I bring him back from tours. I was in Quebec, Canada, and this carver shop, I just bought a little piece. They had a shop full of stuff, and I said, "Whoa." I went to the clerk, I said, "Boy, this guy's prolific," because it was 2 stories high with all this stuff in it. It was carved. She didn't, they speak French mostly. She didn't know what prolific was, so I explained it to her. She says, "Well, there's 4 of us that actually carve."
Yeah.
So, but there's a little bit of intarsia in some of these things. And so I just brought them, I brought them back as souvenirs for me, but I thought maybe you'd like to see and give you some ideas. Seeing these things always gives me some ideas for something else that I like. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Very nice.
One more.
Well, one more. Here comes Steve. Steve was late.
Here, I got late. So, this is, one of these live edge woods we got from Gary Geis, and one of my favorite hobbies is bird watching. So on this one, we've got a kingfisher. And what I love to do is walk around Kerber Pond, which is about a half a mile from my house. I probably walk around that pond at least 5 times a week. And I like doing photography of birds. Unfortunately, I haven't learned yet how to turn those photographs into patterns. But sometime, maybe I'll be able to do that. I have my bird count on Herbert Pond per species up to 106 species.
Wow.
So it's surprising how many birds a little pond like that can attract. This particular design is one of the Sheila Landry wildlife designs. She's online. And, yeah. So I enjoy doing the wildlife kind of pictures.
Thank you, Steve. One more? I don't know who said it. This one, yeah. Who did that? Tom did that. Oh, sorry. Tom Fish did that. From the side, it looks like a cell phone. He sees that. All right, well, let's take a 10-minute break here and then we'll come back and have our program. Roy, would you have anything to say?
Well, you.
All right, Dave, we'll go ahead and get started. If everyone wants to take a seat here.
Why it breaks the blades.
There's a lot of things that don't go blaze the break. It's hard to say. without looking at it.
What you been up to?
All right, we'll give everyone a second chance to get seated and we'll get started.
Now, this is being projected up on the screen there, so if you want to watch it from there, if you do want to come and watch it up close, bring chairs or stand or whatever else, just allow the camera to be able to see that thing so that
Right.
we've got it on.
It'll probably be easier for you to see stuff on the screen because a lot of stuff I'm working with is pretty small. So we're gonna get the camera in there nice and tight so you can see exactly what I'm doing. It'll probably be easier to see on the screen than if you're standing in front of me. We got everybody or still waiting on a few people?
Yep, no, I think that's good.
Okay. All right, so I'm not gonna be able to hold the microphone and work here, Mike, so I'll start with though I will, but so what I'm gonna do, how do you know your bearings are gone on your, or going on your Scrollsaw? Well, there's no exact answer, because I know from experience, I can turn on a Scrollsaw, listen to it for about 5 seconds, say, yep, bearings are fine, maybe you got a bad bearing in there. Can I tell you which bearing? Heck no, I don't know. You have to open it up, start looking. There are 13, I think it's 13 or 14 bearings and sleeves in these saws. Now, this is a DeWalt, but DeWalt is based on Excalibur. So Excalibur designed this particular saw, this where you see this when we talked about last week, they showed the what do they call it? Link arm mechanism. So that's what this is. And what DeWalt back, I'm not sure, in the late 90s, decided that they wanted a scroll saw. So they went to Excalibur and they paid Excalibur a license fee to use their design. So this design is based on Excalibur. You can actually swap parts between DeWalt and Excalibur. I've done it quite a few times because DeWalt parts are easy to get. So when we're looking at this, keep in mind that if you have an Excalibur, Jet, Seiko, the interior is pretty much exactly the same as a DeWalt. It uses the same bearings, the same sleeves. The mechanism is very similar. It's just on those ones, the whole mechanism slides out the back and where this is all going to come apart. So here, I'm going to turn this on here in just a second. I'll show you why I think the bearings are going on this one. And to give you an idea, the bearings typically last 100 to 200 hours. For an average scroller, that's 1 to 2 years. And I'll show you a couple things we're going to do here that'll make them last a little longer. So I'll turn this on, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. So not making a lot of noise, real slow. We're going to speed it up here. Starting to hear a little bit of a knock. And as I get up to the higher speed, you hear that knock? That's a good sign your bearings are going. And the thing is, it won't happen. It's not like one day it was smooth as silk and the next day it's knocking. It's gradual. Over time, it'll start making it won't make any noise. It'll make a little noise. It'll get a little louder. You'll notice that maybe blades are breaking. Maybe you're having a hard time controlling. You'll feel more vibration because when this is on at full speed, you could have almost no vibration here. And you couldn't have. Not too bad with vibration, but we've got that definite. So there should not, when these are running properly, they should not knock. They should be they have a little bit of noise, but you shouldn't hear any kind of a mechanical knocking. That's a sign that you've got a bad bearing. All right, so let's take a look and start taking this apart.
Roughly, where are the bearings in the unit?
You'll see yeah. So there are some here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 bearings and sleeves, actually 5 bearings and sleeves here. Same top, same in the bottom. There's some back here. And as we take it apart, you'll see what I'm talking. So let's bring this over here. So first things first, I'm gonna get this tape. This has most of the weight. And this thing gets a lot lighter when you take this table out. And to take table out, it's just a knob. You just unscrew it. There's a little tab here that goes in between right here. It's just a bolt. I'm just gonna set this off to the side for now because we don't need the table. That's pretty straightforward. So now we can see the whole saw. You can see the heads. You can see the whole body of the saw. What I'm gonna first do is I'm actually gonna take the heads off. And as I take stuff apart, I just use these little red solo cups just to keep, so I don't lose parts, because there's a lot of little parts. I have extras of everything, but I don't want to use them. All right, so all the screws on these DeWalt's are Torx. So this is just a Torx set I bought at Harbor Freight for a couple bucks. It goes from 9 all the way up to 27. And if I remember right, it's a 20 for the heads. Nope, must be a 15. And then it's got a little wrenches, just a little 9/32 old school ignition wrench. And these are just lock nuts on the other side. These are pretty easy to take out. Same process whether you have the DeWalt heads or you have the Pegasus heads, like in this case. So I'm just gonna make sure I keep everything together. Drop it in there, and then I'm gonna poke out the sleeve. So that's the sleeve. You know, you can kind of see that these are small. I've got a big one. I'm gonna pass it around to show you what wear looks like. But what we're looking at here, these sleeves should be perfectly smooth. Let me grab the one. Pass it around. This is actually a sleeve that goes further back in the machine, but I'm gonna pass it around because it's really easy to see. If you look at this, you'll see two areas that are kind of a different color. They're a little bit shinier. You can kind of see that's where the bearings sit. And what it is it sits and it rocks back and forth against the bearing. Over time, as the lubrication wears out, it starts to go metal on metal and it starts to put wear on this bearing. Now you look at this, you say, oh, that doesn't look that bad. It's really small. This came out of a saw that was shaking so bad that it was moving across my bench when I turned it on. So just this little bit of wear is what can cause a huge problem. Pass that around. So when I look at Carl just recently put these heads on, and when you buy Pegasus heads, they come with new sleeves. So this sleeve's pretty new. Probably looks pretty good. Yeah, nothing to worry about there. And there's not a particular sleeve that goes bad first. I've seen ones that had sleeves that look great up front, and in back, they look like that one I'm passing around. I've had the opposite. I've had ones in the front that were completely worn, and the back was totally fine. So it just, I don't know why they wear where they do, and it varies from saw to saw. So there's no 100% rule.
Well, Troy, I think I could take mine apart, but I'm not so sure I could put it back together. Can I bring it to your place?
Yeah, if you guys are not, if someone has a saw that they would like to have fixed and you're not comfortable doing it yourself, talk to me. I enjoy working on these and it does not take me long. And like I said, I also stock all the parts. I have enough parts right now to do about 2 saws.
Well, you may get some extra business.
I really don't charge hardly anything to do just because I don't like to see saws go in the trash, so I do buy them and fix them up sometimes, although I'm not doing that right now. Because I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And what I suggest, if you're taking it apart, if you do decide to do this yourself, take pictures. Take pictures as you go. Do whatever you have to do so that you can get this back together. It does look like a lot of parts, but the thing is, there's not that many that are different. There's only like a few different bearings and a few different sleeves. I think there's 4 different bearings and 4 or 5 different sleeves. So it's just a matter of, it's like, well, I have 6 of this sleeve and 10 of this bearing and 4 of this bearing. So it's not as complicated as it might.
So the one you passed around, is that a bad?
That is a bad one. You saw where it had you can see the kind of ground in pattern. That's one that is faulty. All right, so now I'm gonna start taking this saw apart.
Are you nervous yet, Carl?
No, no.
It's in good hands. I'll get it back together. I had an Excalibur, I have an Excalibur kind of torn apart on my workbench at home right now.
No, what got me, got me talking with Troy about doing this here is at the state fair he had at Dewalt. And I was noticing how the speed was up and it wasn't making any noise. And I'm going like, "Well, mine makes noise." And he said, "Well, bring it to my place in Big Lake." And I said, "Why don't we use this as a demo? It'd be great, for me."
So what I'm doing now, I just got a torque spit and a impact driver, just a little quicker. Wrench for these ones. And I'm just gonna start taking this apart. So right here, this is the pivot for the table.
So the table falls in.
Yeah, the back of the table sits here, and that's how it can pivot. There's a little piece. You don't really need to do anything with this. We're just gonna set it aside because we don't want to lose it. Well, you can't see what I'm doing on the back side here is there's two screws right here. And these are holding this bottom arm in place. And then you'll see in a moment here, we're going to take this apart. You'll be able to see the inner workings. We'll kind of talk about the inner workings a little bit here.
Now, are you able to tell by the feel which one is worn out, Troy?
No, I can't tell until I take them out and look at them.
Okay.
That's why we're gonna take this completely apart, look at every bearing and replace it.
Okay.
To give you an overhaul, an idea, a complete overhaul, every new bearing, every new sleeve is about $80 per piece. Okay, so now you can kind of see the inner workings here. You can see this is coming down. This sits here, this bar moves back and forth, and this causes us to move up and down. I'm actually going to spin this around. And without it falling apart. Kind of probably the walls, they kind of fall apart once you start taking them apart here. So now I'm going to take the main body apart here.
You want to come up for a good close look? Go ahead and come on up here.
Oh, these were replaced. Okay, sure. I think I brought my X wrench. So on this, Carl added the lifter arm at some point, and it came with some bolts that are actual Allens instead of the Torx. But I thought of that, fortunately, and I brought my Allens.
Good idea.
Allen wrenches are different than the torque wrenches?
Yeah, an Allen wrench is this kind of hexagonal shape. And the Torx, the TORX, they're more of a star shape. They're sometimes called star wrenches. But if you go, like I said, these are all just from cheapies from Harbor Freight. You can buy a set that comes with metric, standard, Allens, and Torx, and they're pretty inexpensive. I think these are like $4 or $5 a piece.
I think those Torx bolts are getting more common these days too, right?
Yeah, you do see them. Yeah, they're getting, I say they're definitely getting more common.
Yep, especially in construction, they use a lot of them for housing. It's easier, sometimes easier than putting on a nail, or at least it's stronger in places. They do have nail guns.
This is the bushing.
Yeah, it might be hard to see on camera there, but if you can kind of see you see that little pattern on it, that you don't want to see that bushing should be completely flat and clean.
It's interesting that you can't put a ridge at all on there.
Nope, can't feel it, but it makes all the difference. On the Dewalt, most of these bolts, the nuts are captured on the other side, where it's actually cast in, so you don't have to grab them. There's actually a built-in little place that holds the nut. All right. I'm gonna put this aside. Back on temporarily. Cool. Now the bolts here, it's pretty easy because they really only go in one place. If you have a bolt that doesn't fit, you just grab the one that does. I want to get this over so we can really show you guys what's going on. Okay. Let's. So let's. Is this the one? These two up here, these are just for holding the optional light. There we go. Okay, so now we can see the inner workings of this sucker a little better. So the way the saw works is this motor spins around. And this motor is on an offset. It's not a perfect circle. So you notice how this kind of wobbles. So what's going on here is that this shaft is a little bit of an offset shaft. And as it spins, it moves this back and forth. And in turn, it pushes this back and forth. That little wobble, that's what causes your blade to move up and down. It interacts with these down here, and it causes these to move up and down. Make sure we don't lose this guy.
So this arm is passive down here.
Nope, they're both active.
Both.
Yep, they both move. So it moves on the center pivot here. And these arms actually move back and forth. And they cause these arms to go up and down. And that's what causes, so that's why you have all these bearings all the way through here. Okay. So here's that big bearing that I showed you, that I passed around. So let's pull that out, take a look. Hey, thanks, Mike. Let's see what your big bearing looks like. Or your big sleeve looks like. Oh, there's some wear there. Not terrible, but just good, honest wear. I don't really want to pass that around, but Ralph, you can see the wear on there.
A little bit.
A little bit, not too bad.
It's not horrible. Nope.
Well, right here it is. On one side it's not, but on this side here it is.
Yep. That's where it's been sitting all those years. So I'm gonna try and see if I put this, try to keep this together. So normally I just let them fall apart because I'm sitting in my shop, but I'm trying to show everything here. There's that way to hold together a little better. Okay, so as you can see, there's this big bearing here. This is actually called the con rod, connecting rod. So this right here, there's a sealed bearing in there. Now this is a type 2, so this is the newer one. This does not, this has a little snap ring, and on the back side, it's actually formed. So it's like a little pocket. The older type ones, this was open all the way through, and the bearing was just pressed through. And over time, that bearing would pop off. That bearing would actually wear out. This is a newer design. This is a much better design. It's not a problem. I rarely ever have to replace these. There's also a bearing in here. This is a really precise bearing that Dewalt does a really good job with, and you typically never need to replace that bearing. So we're not going to worry about that bearing, but we are going to take this part off.
Your hands are covered where your
Oh.
I can use.
Yeah, so this right here there's a sealed bearing in here.
Yeah.
That's the only sealed bearing on a DeWalt.
And where was the other one?
It's kind of back behind here. You can't really see it. It's in here. It's kind of buried. You can't really see it, but there is a bearing in the sleeve in there. And that one I don't usually mess with because I can't find a supplier for it. DeWalt just sells you the whole connecting rod arm. It's only about $20. So if I have to replace the connection arm, I just replace it. It can fall. Okay, so we begin. What I want to do is talk about the variance. So let's.
Well, if you went to DeWalt, could you get a whole bearing kit?
They do not sell a kit. They do not sell the bearings.
Oh, so how do you get
They,
bearings?
I actually have a Excel spreadsheet I put together of where I get my bearings. And I get them from Amazon.
Yeah. So on Amazon, are they advertised as DeWalt bearings or? just-
Well, here's the thing, is DeWalt is not using proprietary tools. They're just using off-the-shelf parts. So these bearings, they're not just used in DeWalt tools. They're used in all sorts of applications. They're just a generic bearing. They actually have a number. And you can look at that number. You can go to Amazon or anywhere you want that sells bearings.
Yeah.
Type in that number and get that exact bearing. And then that's-
Ranger or any of these outfits?
Ranger, I like Amazon just because they're
Yeah.
easiest.
Yeah. Huh.
They were coming to your house every day, Troy?
Pretty much. Between me and my wife, yep. Okay. One other thing I want to talk about here. So on this bottom arm here, I just took the bolt out. So this is where these arms that come across connect to this device down here. There are 2 washers in here that are extremely important. They fit right there.
You can't see it on.
Yeah, sorry.
You can't see it on there.
They're hard to see. They're these little flat washers. And they go right here. And they are very important. You do not want to lose those. You can get new ones, but we prefer not to lose them. A little flat wash. So this. Just leave it off. Okay. Let me take this part off. This is always a little tricky. This piece, it's not really pressed in, but they don't always like to pop out.
Yeah.
So sometimes I gotta take a screwdriver there, and just kind of pop it out. It's not pressed in, it's not bolted in, it's just sitting there a little snug. I'm gonna carefully. Yeah, see, it's gonna pop right out, but it's take a little force. There it goes. So this is your pivot arm. This is a very important piece. This is the bottom, and on the top is one upside down on the top. And the arm coming from the motor connects right here. And that's what pulls it back and forth. That's what gives you your up and down motion. Now there's a bearing right here, and there's a bearing right here. These are the bearings. These bearings tend to be ones that go back. Now inside that bearing goes a little sleeve. So this is just a metal sleeve. Somebody want to go in there? Probably the bearing switch out. Okay. So inside that bearing sits the sleeve. Through the sleeve goes the bolt. That's your pivot point. So you think about how many times a second that's pivoting as you're cutting. Over time, that bearing, like that sleeve, like the one I passed around, gets that markings, which is just good old fashioned wear. Let's take a look here.
So you like to run your saw at high speed,
Mhm.
they wear out faster?
Not necessarily. I mean, probably, but I don't, yeah, it's hard to really say. So I'm gonna clean this sleeve up. And I'm looking at it and, I'm definitely seeing some wear on it. It's gonna be hard to, it's really tiny, so it's gonna be hard to see, but if I run my finger across it, I can kind of feel that it's not smooth. I can feel kind of catching a little bit. So that tells me that sleeve definitely needs to be replaced. And if I've got a sleeve that's got any kind of grooves or anything like that, that sleeve's going, that bearing's going. Okay. So on this one, we are a little bearing. This is where that sleeve was. This is that bigger bearing right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a new bearing. I have a whole bunch of them right here. This is all it is, little sleeve. And it's literally just pressed through there. So this is where this guy comes into play. So this is an arbor press, and you can't, there's no other way to press a bearing other than using a press. Don't hammer them, please don't hammer them. You will destroy the bearing if you hammer. You can get them out, you can get them in with a hammer, but you will not have you'll have a completely destroyed bearing if you do that. So the press is the way to do it. These are not expensive. This press was about $50 on Amazon, and this is just, it's just called an arbor press. Now, the way you do it, you get this new bearing in, the old bearing out, you take the new bearing. You wanna move the camera?
It's the HDMI cable.
No, can you move the camera towards me a little more?
Oh, I see.
It comes up here.
Ah,
There
I
we
see
go.
what you're saying. Ah,
There it is.
okay.
So,
Sorry, that's what you're saying.
so the arbor press has these little different size slots here. So for this one, I'm gonna use this size one because what I wanna do is I want this to sit in there nice and flat. Nice, flat, supported. I put the new bearing on top of the old bearing. Line it up. Oop, oop. Sorry, I'm trying to do this backwards so people can see. Normally I'd be in front of it. You line it up. Still like magic. Old bearing is out, new bearing is in.
Mhm.
All there is to it. There's my old garbage bearing. There's my new bearing. Literally, that's literally all there is to it. Actually, this one, I shouldn't say all there is to it, because in this case, it didn't quite push it in there. I want it to be even. So I'm gonna just give it just a little tiny push with the old bearing. Just to. I want it to be even. There you go. So I'm looking at it on either side. Now it doesn't have to be beautifully perfect, but you want it to be close. You don't want it protruding from one side. So now I've got that in there. So there's our bearing, replaced, looking good. Now this one's a little different. This is sleeve and bearings as well. Here's our sleeve, the longer sleeve. There are two bearings, one on this side, one on this side. So there's a little trick to getting those out here. I'll show you in just a second. I'm gonna take a look at this sleeve. Yeah, this sleeve is, well, you can see some obvious wearing on there.
Yeah.
The sleeve is pretty worn. So this sleeve, I do actually get these from Dewalt. I haven't been able to find an outside supplier, but they're easily available from Dewalt. I've got a middle. Yeah,
You can use a drill press with a drill bit, in upside down.
you can, yep, absolutely. You get a little bit better control, and it does take quite a bit of pressure to push these out. So I have found that a press works a little better, just from my personal experience. So this one's a little trickier because I've got it on either side. Well, how do I get this out? Well, I just want a bolt that's the right size because we're not using that much pressure. And I'm gonna use that bolt to push these all the way through. Hold it up and align it.
At home, do you have this bolted to your?
I don't, it's just on my
device,
workbench.
to your
Yep.
workbench, just sits there?
Yep.
Okay,
So there you go. There are two little bearings that were in that spot.
wow.
We just pushed them out with a bolt. Doesn't take much at all. And then to put the new ones in, go over here, grab a couple new ones. And just set it in there. And I'm just gonna push it in. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, because there's one on each side. Now, there's another one on the end. Same thing here, it's this little one. There are actually only three bearing sizes. There's this one, there's a medium one, and there's a large one. So this one, I'm just gonna place it here. I'm gonna put the new bearing on top. Line it up. Push the old one out. There's your new bearing. So this is your rocker arm with all new bearings. Now, a really important part with these bearings is they need to be lubricated. When you get your saw from Dewalt, they tend to use just a really light oil lubrication. That's where you get the 100 hours. Now, I can't say that I haven't put 200 hours on a saw yet or 300 hours on a saw, but according to what I've been told and what I've read is that this is a synthetic lubricant, this is a grease. This is a Mobile One synthetic grease, it's kind of a pink color. And supposedly this will give you twice as much life as the oil that DeWalt uses. We'll see. But it works really good.
Where'd you get this?
I just bought it at Walmart. This I bought at Amazon. This is just a little grease gun because what I was doing, was I'd open up the tube of grease, I'd stick my little chenille in there and I'd rub it all in there.
Yeah.
And man, that was a mess. So I found this little guy, like $10. Yeah, Roger.
A grease gun is used for chainsaws.
Yeah, yep, it's used for chainsaws. Yep.
They're fantastic little grease.
But yeah, it's nice. It doesn't get everywhere. It's what I use. So you don't have to, but you can. So all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna squirt a little grease in there. Little dab will do you. I'm gonna take my pipe cleaner and I'm just gonna rub it around in there. That's all you gotta do. And I'm gonna do that for each one of these.
It's a nice red color.
Yep. And it's a high quality synthetic grease. It's actually used in motorcycle transmissions. So it is probably way over engineered for this, but that's okay. Better over engineered than under engineered.
You say that at Walmart?
Yep, just in the automotive section. Just a tube that you put in a grease gun.
Yeah.
And Valvoline makes it, Mobile One makes it. It's all pretty much the same stuff. Okay, so we have our rocker arm here. I'm gonna grab a couple of sleeves. So these are the brand new sleeves. Like I said, I have an Excel sheet that has links to where all these are on Amazon. They sell in packs of 10. So you have your small sleeve, your medium sleeve, your long sleeve. And I have on the sheet, it tells you exactly how many you need for every rebuild. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I'll email it to everyone, anyone who wants it. So the sleeves, literally just after the grease, you just pop these little guys in. Maybe.
Basically, do you just change all of the bearings since you've got it all open?
I do, yes. I've made the mistake of not doing that and having to take the machine apart 3 times. So I just pretty much replace every bearing. Unless I look at it, it's like, okay, this bearing has no wear whatsoever, then I leave it alone. When I buy a saw, even if it's brand new, like the saw I had at the fair, that saw is essentially brand new. I still took it apart and re-lubricated it. I took it apart, I checked all the bearings, everything was fine. I put new red grease in there. And you have lubed it up just because, why not? You know, it should last longer. So that one's ready to go. So there's another part, this is the other part. This goes here, and this fits above it. So this has 2 bearings on the end as well, 2 bearings and 2 sleeves. I'm just gonna take this apart. Like I said, I've taken these apart so many times that I don't need to label my parts or take pictures, but I would recommend you do if you're trying it for yours.
Label your glasses.
Yep, label your parts. Exactly. So again, here we go. We just got our sleeve. Pliers here. And the wear I'm seeing here, this is not like, oh man, Carl, you really abused yourself. You just destroyed it. This is totally normal wear. This is expected wear to see.
Well, I've had it since 2012. So
Yeah,
without doing
exactly.
this, right? So.
No, I mean, honestly, this isn't actually, I've seen a lot worse.
Oh,
I've seen, like I said, that last saw I fixed and I just sold last month. That one was the worst one I've ever seen.
just war.
Just worn. Yeah, so I've definitely seen some wear. Yeah, it's hard to see on camera, I realize, but there's definitely some wear there. You can see it.
Yep.
So let's just set that aside.
Have you ever worked on an eclipse?
I've not worked on an Eclipse.
You want to?
Those things are huge. I mean, I can read. Do you having problems with yours, Katie?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's that great big cast iron
I
one.
do have a couple.
I mean, I've never worked on Eclipse. I've seen one because I saw the one that John has.
Yeah.
But that's as much as I've done. I've never actually used one or worked on one. So the trick is you got to make sure you have it perfectly lined up or it won't push through. There you go.
There you go.
And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, this thing is heavy enough, you really don't have to bolt it down. But normally I'm standing in front of it, so that's a little easier from the sides. So there you go. We just replaced it. It's all with dog bone. We just replaced it.
Good.
Now we got our little piece here. We're gonna put the grease. Yep, we have definitely grease it here. Thank you. So we're gonna grease those bearings so it'll last a long time. Grab a couple of small sleeves. Pop in there.
So is there actually a little tube of grease in there?
No, it's that you just, you pull the bottom off, you shove a bunch of grease in there, you push it up with a screwdriver, and that's all you do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. So we're gonna put this back in. And this is always a little tricky, always a little difficult to get this in there. We have to spread it a little.
This is some hard won knowledge. I can see that.
Yeah.
It'd take you a while to get onto this.
Yeah, I mean, I picked it up pretty fast, and I guess, but it did take, it took a little practice. You take a few apart and then you get pretty good at it. This always gives me trouble. Put it on the floor, just knock it in with a hammer a little bit.
Persuader.
Yep. So. Yeah, that's why I like having a dead blow hammer. You can use any old hammer, but I like a dead blow just because it doesn't bounce. Gives you a little bit better control, so you're not gonna go flying around or something like that. So on this side, I'm gonna put the bolt back in. I had his software. I completely rebuilt that one. That one was in really sad shape when I got it.
Yeah. Does it work good now?
Even as the lineup sometimes is a little tricky. Yeah, it doesn't look like mine up. Yeah, this one's-
Gotta be pretty centered there, it won't go in.
Right. It's just being a little stubborn. There it goes. All right, there we go. And you want everything to fit, make sure it fits loose. If if it's tight, you did something wrong. So this should be able to move freely. That's the whole point of the bearing in the sleeve. Up, there we go. Now we're gonna put this, so this is where you gotta pay attention. You wanna make sure you don't, it really won't go, it'll only go one way, so. Not too big of a deal, but. It's important. Yep. So we have our sleeve in there, our bearings have been replaced, they've been lubricated. I'm just gonna put it right in there. And I need to find. And then the nice thing about Dewalt's is that, it's any of the Excaliburs, is that parts are readily available. You can get some Excalibur parts through Seiko, although I think they're a little overpriced, but I understand. Did I just put that in backwards? I did. Thank you for trying to talk and do things. So.
Only within one way.
Well, it only goes in one way up, right side up, and upside down, but you can put it in backwards, which I just did. That's all right. There it is.
Oh.
It's a little difficult to talk and do at the same time. Usually I'm just sitting in my workshop working on these.
Think a little better. What is the purpose of that little anvil sticking up there?
Oh, this is, yeah, on the top side, this sits like this. And you'll see when we take it apart, there's actually a bellows that it touches. It touches the bellows, and that's what gives you the air, the puff of air, yep. But rather than make a separate one for the top and bottom, you just use the same one. Because you don't need it on the bottom, but it doesn't hurt anything. So, less parts.
Yeah.
So now we got all new bearings and that sleeve I dropped earlier.
Back flying out.
Yeah, I'll see you. Okay. You got a bunch of them. There's the bottom assembly, all new bearings, new sleeves, ready to go. So just to keep this a little easier, we're gonna put. So this is that arm I talked about, it has those special little washers that you don't want to lose.
Special washers are right here.
There we go, thank you. They go on either side. And the sleeve is just big enough that they fit. Yep, they fit over the sleeve. And it's very important these get on there, because if these don't get on there, your saw will stop working. So the sleeve can slide between those, but it covers the space between the bearing and the housing. And this just goes on like this. It's a little tricky to get these sleeves, to get these, washers to sit there, but it's very important. Yeah, I hear it go.
You're blocking.
Pardon me.
Once we get through here. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna double check, make sure those washers are there. It's very important. They are there. Okay. And I'm gonna put that on it here.
Got it there, Carl?
Yep. Again, you don't need to crank these down super tight because they are lock washers. Of course, not telling you, you want to make sure it can move in there freely like that. Right, just like that, we got that part. So that's the bottom, and the top is exactly the same. It's the exact same part. Did you get dirty or did you cut yourself?
No, grease.
Oh, greasy, yeah, it's a little greasy. So the other bearings are in here. These ones typically tend to give me the least amount of trouble. So I'm feeling fairly confident that we need to replace those, but we may have to, we'll see. So I know this one was bad, so I do actually, oh, I should have put that back. Getting a set of myself here, hold on 1 second. I gotta take this whole part out. I used to having an audience. Oh. So let's take the top off here. Let's put one here. So this is just the speed control and power button shroud. Just the plastic piece that sits up here. Comes right off. This.
You got this on here.
Oh, sorry, forget about that. There we go. There we go. And it's just two little wires for the power switch, which we'll put back here a little bit later. And then we'll take out the. So unfortunately, these kind of tend to, like I said, these DeWalt's. Okay, yours is a little different. You have a special one. Usually these are two parts.
Oh.
DeWalt changes their design pretty frequently. So that's not that unusual. Okay. So if you look, this looks a little different because we've got some other stuff going on up here, but actually they're gonna go. But we don't need to do that because it's not split. Okay. So, sorry, this one's a little bit different than the ones I've worked on. I'm gonna put this back together because we don't actually need to take that part out. I don't want any more parts out from you. Okay. So we should be able to get this out. Yes, we don't have to take that part out, so we can do this. I'm gonna take this screw here.
Do you think this is a different model?
No, DeWalt made subtle changes over the years. So it doesn't surprise me that, ooh, it was really tight. That's a little different. Because they moved production from Canada to Taiwan at one point. And I think they might have changed manufacturers in Taiwan at some point too. So depending on where yours was made, who made it, it could be a little different, some a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay loose here. Okay. Making me nervous. I don't know. Did I knock something down?
Yep.
Need the phone?
I don't know, no, I think it was a sleeve.
That's okay. Those are just the old sleeves. There we go. We're gonna pull this out. And we're gonna notice here, you can't really see it here, but it's actually hooked into the bellows. We won't really see the bellows here. But I'll pop it off here. You can't really see it in here, but there's a little bellows in here. It's right here. And that's what gives you the puffs of air. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Yeah, like I said, normally these are split in half. It's a little easier to see there where that bellows is. I don't really want to pull this all apart because we don't need to. I'm just gonna leave it. Actually, we might have to get the bellows out. So let's take this back away. So this is your tension control right here. And, there we go. Then we can take this piece. And then inside you can see, that's your little bellows. That's what gives you the air. Okay. Now let's get back to this. That's our finishing one. Yep, leave that on there.
Yep, I don't know, just,
Don't need to do anything with that. So here we have another one of these. This is the same thing we did before, only this is the top instead of the bottom. And I'm just gonna pop the bearings quick here. Take a look at the sleeve. Definitely got some wear on it. As we would expect. Yep. Nothing unusual here, totally what I would expect to see on a saw that was used.
If you need to leave, go ahead and take off. Otherwise, we can stay as long as it takes to get this back together. We're not on a time clock here, so.
Mike, I just wanted to have to mention something I forgot. Troy donated his money for his pipeline to shoot back to the club.
All right. Thank you. That's nice.
So I'm just doing the same thing I did here before. I'm just pushing the bearing, pressing the bearings in. The same thing.
Come on up and take a look. Get it apart.
Right, it's okay.
Okay, so that one's all got new bearings, ready to go. Lubricate these up quick.
So you just took all the old ones out and put the new ones back in and that.
Yep,
Yeah, sure, almost time.
yep, it doesn't take very long. Pretty quick.
When you don't have to talk and describe what you.
Exactly, you can just, it's a little easier. So I'm gonna put this back in, and it's hard to see that little bellows is in there. This little cup fits inside that bellows. So you just kind of gotta, this is the tricky part. Is you gotta just kind of get it, there we go, got it. Now it's captive. So all you do is you just turn it to the side, and you sort of twist it in, pretty straightforward. And of course, I put it in the back.
One hour.
Yeah.
So we're staying.
Oh, you mean I actually have to get this thing back together?
Yeah, I wanna hear it run.
I didn't say it would run.
Got 9 minutes left.
In fact, I don't wanna hear it. I wanna just quiet.
Well, I didn't make any promises that I put it back together.
Ah. Silly Carl, let him have his saw.
Too bad, Carl.
Carl, time for a new saw.
Yep. I've been bracing my wife.
You won't care.
We're gonna trust.
Well, I appreciate your faith in me.
Put the leftover stuff in a box.
Well, I'll do that to my collection of extra parts.
How long am I gonna shut it down?
Yeah, getting this bellows in sometimes can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
They're very thick. Might give you 30 bucks.
Yeah, tell Roger.
Just make a donation. to the club.
Yeah, Roger.
He said just make a donation to the club, Mike.
I'm sure that'd be fine. You need one?
I've got a really, really cheap, but it'd be nice to have something a little better.
We can plug it in and see. if it works. Well, yes, it does. Plug it in, make sure it goes on.
It's just a donation to the club. Whatever the donation is.
Well, if the sale here, November goes well, we have enough to pay for our meetings anyway. Yeah.
You take the bellows out of it.
Yeah, I took it completely out because I couldn't get it. So I took it out and hooked on there, and then this is the bottom where it hooks in. It's got a little lip. And there's a little plate that goes here. This plate is actually designed so that you can put the blower on either side. You can turn this around.
You guys?
So now we got the bellows back on. We got the rocker arm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll just stack it up back in the garage. So they still give you the money
Next week.
There's another one from Kellen.
Oh, okay. Thank you, John.
This back together.
Yeah, give all the money to the same person.
That's back there. Let's take this one off. Place the bearings quick. I noticed on the end, I didn't put sleeves in these, in this one, is those ones are where the heads go. And the heads,
Okay.
so, and those, the Pegasus heads come with their own sleeves. I did replace the bearings, but we're gonna use the Pegasus sleeves because they're actually different.
Yeah, they are.
They're a little bit longer. They actually go past the bearing, which is
Yeah.
a good thing. It makes it a little stronger.
Can you do it without pulling it out?
No,
You got bearings in both ends.
yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that one out today. Well, I'm not that worried about these. These were not that worn. I just replaced them because we were in there. I'm gonna have to leave that one for now, because I don't want to break something that I don't have tools here to fix it. Right, but I'm not too worried about, well, I can replace the one at the end here. I'll replace the ones I can. If it's still a problem and we're done, I can help at a later date.
You know which one.
I know which one it is, and we can do that at a later date. These ones worry me the least they tend to get the least amount of wear. And when I pulled out the sleeves on the other ones, they didn't look that bad, but since you're already in there, you might as well just do it. Here's the location. Slide it like this.
That's.
Okay.
Okay, so this screw here, you see the blue on there, that's blue Loctite. You definitely want to use that. Because that does help with this quite a bit, because this gets a lot of motion. If you don't use the Loctite, it will come loose over time. And you want to use the blue, not the red. Blue is just kind of sticky. Red requires heat to release. So you just put a little bit of Loctite. Squirt it out there. And then this little guy is extremely important. This is a little wavy kind of washer. It goes right there. And it goes right like that.
How do you hold this up when you're at home? Do you?
I lay them down.
You lay them down?
Mhm. I just lay it completely lay down on my workbench.
Yep,
But here, obviously, here's what's not an option.
yeah.
Okay. We're getting there. I forgot this. Okay, there's our sleeve, our very important washers. We're gonna put on either side. Like I said, these are a little tricky.
The important washer just fell, huh?
Yep, I got it, though, I saw it.
They don't always.
What I find is that if you put it on one side and put the bowl through enough that it holds the washer, then you're only trying to hold on to one.
Right, right.
And then you usually get the other one pretty easily. Okay. Well, Carl, time's up, you gotta take it back the way it is. Yeah, I probably show you how to replace the bearings. I didn't say put it all back together.
It's gonna work.
Run out of time.
I think it said, um, replace and return.
You know what I did on mine? I cut out a piece of wood.
It's got.
Go right under here. Because you look at the saw, all you've got is that thin piece that supports.
Mark, what kind of saw have you got?
Put a block of wood underneath.
Working okay,
On the whole flat piece,
Oh,
not bad.
because I had one that chipped out on me.
Not
And
knocking.
then Chris gave me a saw that she was junking out.
So one thing I
able to
definitely
get
want to
that
talk
piece.
about, is we need to remove this part, this armors, I need to replace some bearings in here. This is a left-hand thread,
Right.
very, very important. Do not turn it the wrong way, you will bust the motor.
$400.
About 150. But there's a trick.
Left-hand thread.
Yep, the left-hand thread. There's a trick, you take a 19 mm wrench, and you put it right on the counterweight there. And then you hold it. And that's how you can hold it, so you can take that off. And don't lose that nut, because left-hand threads are a little bit unusual. And it might be hard to find one.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna pull this straight out. And there's our mechanism. So this connects to the motor, this sits on a pivot, these move back and forth, which pivots the front, that's what gives you your cutting action.
Simple.
Yep.
Another bear.
So this is that big one I passed around, this is that pivot. And we're gonna replace these bearings. Same way we did all the ones, the first I'm gonna take these arms off, is there's bearings in these arms.
How many total bearings are on there?
I forget, 13 or 15, something like that. I have it written down, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Quite a few.
There's 3 or 4 different, I think, 3 open bearings that we can replace, 3 different types, but there's 14 total. But there's only 3 different types. Yeah.
Normally hits him in the head, that stops
Exactly. It knocks some sense of me for coming up with this for an idea.
it. Otherwise, you need more people.
Easier to do it at home too.
Yeah, well, I just everything's sitting on my workbench and I'm not trying to fold it out so people can see it.
You got all your tools and.
I have most of the tools I'm using that I use here. But there's other stuff I have at home.
This is different.
Yeah.
Well, hindsight said we should have just videotaped it at your place and just run the video.
All right. Like I said, it's hard to say how long this is really gonna take, it just depends.
There you go, Chris.
It's always better to see.
There you go. You need it.
How long does it normally take you to do this with
About
nobody
an-
watching?
About an hour.
But you're used to your job and everything.
Right, everything, I know where everything is, and I'm not trying to hold it up, I'm just laying it down, so it's easy for me to work on it. I don't have an audience. It's making me a little nervous.
How many bearings are in my hawk?
4
4.
or 5. And they're. Hawks, that's the nice thing about Hawks, they only have about 4 or 5 bearings, they're a lot simpler. Same with Egners.
Yeah. 4 bearings.
Maybe 5, can't remember off the top of my head. I got it.
Next time we'll do a hawk.
Well, you don't have to, I've never had to rebuild a Hawk.
Yeah.
It lasts forever.
I like that.
You're gonna have. to-
They're a different machine, they're built to a higher standard. They're meant for commercial use,
Yeah.
and where the Dewalt really isn't.
I've been running mine for over 30 years.
Wow.
I mean, they do wear out, don't get me wrong, they will eventually wear out, but they will last a lot longer than one of the other ones. There. Okay. Honestly, reassembly tends to go faster.
So where'd you get the old hawk at?
So this one, again, there's 2 bearings, there's one on either side, so I'm just using a bolt with a nut,
I got,
push that out.
I got mine.
Big fair.
It's just about the right size to push the,
Yeah, you came up with that.
yeah, that's just my idea. One out. There's their old bearings out. A couple new ones. The bigger bearing. The bigger bearings have got more surface area, so. Same thing here, we pop the new ones in.
That's straight.
Okay. No, it's not straight. Did one of these last night.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
It doesn't really take much pressure to get them in once you
Get it
get it
straight.
straight. It's like I just push it on the hand.
Oh.
That
yeah.
one right in.
Right in.
Okay. Again, we're gonna leave these up. I don't forget. And push all these 2 on the end. Yeah, those won't go too bad, but we'll replace them anyway. If we're in here, I don't really want to take this one apart again.
Angela, you're gonna stop by and see us next
Oh,
week?
I will try, yeah.
Okay.
I've got me stuck in the membership table all day, but I'm gonna try to escape, yeah.
All right.
We've got a better process than we did last year. Last year, you know, we had that mess at the front,
Oh,
registration, we're not gonna do that.
okay.
Yeah.
So people are just walking in or?
Yeah, we'll give them a little ticket. What we really wanna do is keep track of the numbers.
Yeah,
We're gonna have door prices, so we'll use those numbers to keep
Yes.
track. Yeah.
drawings.
You know, and if you guys wanna sell anything, it'll be fine if people wanna sell stuff.
Well, we haven't in the past, so.
We're gonna have better food than last year. Last year was so bad. We have a Mexican food truck and a state fair type of food truck. We're gonna have good weather. It's supposed to be like in the high 70s next week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, it could be cold.
yeah.
Did you get some better?
Oh. Yeah, there you go.
That one. I was gonna have them.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got that all
Snowstorm back in.
taken care of there.
I just
Hold
bought
on.
my house. That's when I learned that. 40-foot
Make sure I put these on
average,
correctly.
None of the snow, there's a snow emergency.
Here.
Safe to live on Grand Avenue. And everything. It's gonna work.
No matter of fact, on my scrap and then I want to take the fork to the table and show you. It's been hot.
So after this, it's just gonna be reassembly. We're just gonna redo all the steps we just did. Only backwards. Again, I'm not gonna crank these down super tight. Because they do have lock washer or lock nuts, and we don't want it to be super tight. We want it to be snug. We wanna make sure it moves freely. And these are actually identical, so it doesn't matter which way you put them. The holes are the same on either side, although I can tell this is the front. From looking at it.
There is a front and a back of that?
No, but I can tell that this one was at the front, because I can see where the washers were. But it doesn't actually matter, they're just stamped.
Well, for the mirror, for the light mirror, or light magnifying.
I think it's open. Take a look at it and see if it's in. If you can push on the door without pushing on the handle, then it's open. You know where that little.
Did you have to make that? Did it come with?
Oh,
No.
we're thinking about it.
Welcome to do.
Makes a difference. I don't think anybody came in. There was a little gal who was gonna practice on the organ and stuff. But we never heard her, but she saw.
Actually, I've got a bench that I made.
Oh,
That way back in. Here, this just slides right in here. Yeah. Oh, it's just. There. Beautiful. All right, now, so we're gonna put. This package, this is the counterweight, this is very important. You really do think with that, that's what keeps it, this isn't off center. See how the shaft is off center? That makes up for the shaft being off center. For the left hand thread.
Have you ever had to replace the board, electric boards?
I have not. I do have one though, if I ever have to. And this is just a 13 millimeter socket. Again, left-hand thread, nice and tight, but no need to murder it. Go. Now we're getting somewhere.
Okay.
Not sure where it is.
Oh,
Okay,
it's gonna.
so now I gotta get this lined up here. This is a little spooky. There we go. Push this all the way back in. And I can put a couple of those back, screws back. To make it so that it will. Yeah, there's some right here too. Now we have our sleeve already in there, our very important washers. We're gonna do this again. These days, he like doing things twice. So.
I've done it where I've used a magnet too to help hold them.
Yeah, yeah.
In place, it worked pretty good.
I've gotten kind of good at it just from doing it so many times.
Where do you put the magnet?
On the washers. You know,
Yeah, you
get
kinda hold it in there.
and you can- yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you drop it in there, that's a pain.
Yeah.
Then you gotta fish it out wherever. it went. But they are important.
Nice pads. Yeah.
Oh, come on, you got to the board. There we go.
Redo your own Dewalt?
I did one, not the one that I have now, but I did a different.
Yeah.
The one I got should be
Okay.
same with my other saw. It's just a matter of taking the time to shut it down and do it. Because I use it almost every day.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Got that back. There we go. All right, so the top is back. We put that whole through there.
I'll get these because there's things everywhere.
All right, we're getting closer. So I'm gonna replace this one because that one's pretty bad. The brand new one,
Which one was that one?
the big one,
The big
The big one? Okay, yep, yep.
This just goes in like this.
Wait, it's not.
Ryan,
You got it all apart, you might as well replace them all.
exactly, that's my feeling on it.
Otherwise, it's gonna come back and bite you.
Exactly, and it has.
Tim's sleep. Oh, wait a minute. You heard that? He's not sleeping. I'm not sure he was sleeping. Well, that's just a man thing.
Does it matter where that counterbalance is on there?
No, it spins around, so. Okay, that is good.
The difference between hearing and listening. See, that's a man thing. We hear people, but we don't listen. We just, we hear noise. La, 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 la.
Yeah, the counterweight spins as the motor turns.
So like I used to tell my kids, I put one finger in your ear, and I'm gonna tell you something, so it stays there.
Now listen up.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, okay, so all bearings have been replaced.
Wow.
That we're gonna replace. All right, so now I'm gonna put this one back in.
I'll hang on to it.
Yeah.
That's your head.
That's a good sign.
Did you grease that last week?
What's that?
Did you grease that last week?
Yeah, this one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
it's all good.
Keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on them.
Okay.
So this part here. Slip in. Going on here. Ah, okay. There we go. Hold that there, please.
Right? Good.
Yeah, there's a little slot this plate fits in. See, there's a plate here.
Yeah.
There's a little slot, and that's what the tension arm presses against. It's very important to get that where it belongs. Let's push it back together. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. Very important. This little wavy washer is very important. It needs to go over this large shaft like that. Make sure you put that in there.
If you have to lay it down, go ahead.
I can't really lay it down for this part.
No.
That they need this.
Couldn't have to. If you want to, you could walk around, do that little girl in there, but just check the place.
Okay, I see the problem. It's not. Wasn't pushed all the way in there. There we go. That's what.
Hardest part is getting recorded.
That is the hardest part. There we go. Satisfying snap. You have that drill bit there?
I got it.
Yeah. I got it. I think this is the bigger one. There we go. Now we're getting it back together.
You know what I did when I did mine, I numbered every hole as far as what tool and where.
Oh.
Yeah, otherwise.
Doctor over here. Whew. Dying. Okay. Guessing. Yes. All right. There we go. Once you get it kind of starting to come back together, it gets a lot easier. Stuff and things sort of falls apart. When you take it apart. There we go. Grab. Should be more.
How long did it take you, Roger?
I went to do mine all the time.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's the problem with the DeWalt's.
What am I getting at?
Then what'd you do?
Well, I got it done, but I got it back together, it worked fine.
In an hour?
Hmm?
In an hour? An hour?
No. No,
Yeah, I don't think so.
I might have been overly optimistic. I'll wait.
Well,
Okay, let's tighten these down and then.
yeah, then I saw, now I gotta. My Excalibur's got, it's running fine, but it's just due.
There we go. Now it is flopping everywhere.
Because I use it every day.
Now it's stable. We'll put all the rest of the bolts in,
Yeah.
but at least now it's stable, it's a little easier to work on. So I'm gonna rehook up this. It's just a little clip. It only goes one way. That's your speed control. And this is your power switch. This is a little tricky because the cord is so short. But I can get it. There we go. Now we can. Gonna put this back.
Is it on backwards?
Nope, just like that.
Yeah. I've got 3 years.
Which hook was screwed?
There's the hole there, there's nothing here.
Oh, yep. Good thing I got you keeping me honest. No, that's right. Yeah,
He's testing you.
I think so. Yeah, it has to go that way.
yeah.
Yep, there's the, right there. There's screws. There we go. All right. And there, and the two very important washers. There.
So Carl, now you're gonna need some wood,
No,
now that you got your saw working. good?
I got lots of wood, Roger. I got more wood than I,
Yeah, but it'll go through it twice as fast. huh?
well, maybe. We'll see.
If I get it back together.
Yeah.
Oh, you know,
We're almost there.
this takes time.
It does, and it always ends up taking longer than you think it's gonna. I'm like, ah, sure, it takes me an hour. I don't know, 3 hours later.
Sometimes the saw doesn't want to cooperate.
That is true.
What time are you gonna be there next Saturday? Gotcha.
No, I'm bringing a saw, so.
Starts at 9.
Yeah.
7:30.
Yeah, I suppose it will.
What time do you think we should get there?
What gate's gonna be open to get in?
Mm,
Any idea?
Didn't I mail that thing out? Did that say on there or not?
Thought it did.
It didn't, it didn't really say, but my understanding is most of it, they should be open because there's 2 other events going on there.
So pretty much any entry.
I think so. That's our understanding.
Yeah, because the north and you think the south. Those are the most popular.
Isn't there one off of Snelling or?
The main gate, I don't think you can drive through.
That's
No.
permanently closed.
No, that's just,
Yeah, I think there's-
they're just gates.
Yeah,
You said there's one that's, I think that's the Snell one.
Yeah, the one right up. the-
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so Como,
Yeah.
whatever's on the north.
What the street is,
Larpenteur is at the north.
yeah, must be. I would say the north gate would be the one.
That thing I sent you again, and then if not, we'll just look at a map and. Just, you know, check and see where you're.
Yeah, I imagine if we're gonna be at the north end, that gate would be.
It's hanging up on the screw here.
Well, you should see other people there too. So,
Yeah, but if they got other events going, which,
well,
So it's just way north.
yeah.
yeah.
It's on that northeast side.
Mhm.
Well, you know where the Creative Arts Building is.
No.
Just straight north of there.
Yeah, on that street. Dead ends right at the building. There's gotta be a way to get in.
Now, if it's just as noisy as we started, Carl,
Oh, man.
I can't be held responsible.
So plug your ears, huh?
It should be, it should be better. I hope.
If he's not responsible, I'm not sure who is.
Yeah, it must be you need a Dewalt drill.
You know what?
It must be that you need a Dewalt drill to.
Exactly.
work on
I didn't bring my DeWalt drill.
Well, we gotta applaud your efforts. Baking. Days. That'd be screwed up. Yeah, turn it on and go. Take it apart again. Wouldn't go anywhere. It's locked.
Those are the two we had, yeah.
Got extra parts.
Don't say that. Don't jinx me.
Well, we had to put together. I know I couldn't do it that fast. I did that one. Imagine each one you do go a little faster.
It does.
Learn your little tricks.
These, this goes up top. This goes up top. This goes down here. With that?
The arm lift.
Yeah, yep, on the top there, yep. Taking up a little.
Well, you got it lined up anyway.
These two.
Oh, anybody watching this? Oh, you're.
This one. Let's move a little bit. Because that is a whole saw, man. There. Now we're sliding. Yep, just a little bit. These two go here.
No, I didn't even go through any of those.
This is a newsletter from our club, they post.
Oh.
Like, you might recognize this.
Here.
They're sweet.
So we could have one bolt left. You try one of them before, right?
Yeah.
What are you looking for? A bolt. Bolt, big one? Yeah. One big one.
What do you cook it? You could have it.
There we go.
We got our solid. We got a sister now lives in.
Those are the old ones. Oh, for the, I guess. Yep, those are all by themselves.
Here are the new ones. These must be.
There's four for the biggest. Those are the biggest.
Oh, okay. All the same size?
Yeah, the biggest, they're all.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, is this boy bad boy? So we want this thing back. Oh, I already have one in there. I might have stuck one in there, not realizing.
That's an old one.
Either way, you're gonna want to use the biggest one.
How we have. Too many.
Nope, just goes in one way, doesn't. Oh, on this either side, it can go on either side. Doesn't affect it.
One of the girls, you know, once in a while, you'll find a good bag. Otherwise, you go through a bunch of them. And they're really interesting.
All right, one's got it. Can you lift your arm back here? So lift your arm was on this side, right?
No, it's this.
Is it? Is that right? Is it? Oh, okay, that's upside down. I got it. These.
The smaller one and then. And I got the chance to buy the bigger one, that was just too. Put the tension on it. Here's an older one.
Oh, they're in the way?
Yeah,
I should just lift it up, I guess.
I just making it possible
I
to
got-
get on
My
that one.
brother-in-law bought it,
And get this thing off,
and then they moved.
get the washer and bolt
I
on.
called them up, I said, what are you doing with your skills? Well, I'm gonna sell it. I said, how much? $100. I said, "It'll be better."
I think those are Allen's at the tour. I've got it one set here you can get. I don't remember either. I think they're.
Looking good.
Yeah, we're getting there.
There. Yeah.
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 Okay, same.
These churches.
Decided to have a fair
Weekends and
in Des Moines, Iowa. the same-
various
the same
reasons
weekend,
for
so
it.
some of our people-
Practicing.
Well, we're coming up on the 100-minute mark.
All right, well, we're almost done.
They're making canoes and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a good day for
Really
everything.
having a time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were right on their couch.
Good. I don't know.
We're outside.
Yeah, we're not gonna have all of them votes, so we can last.
Community center.
Kind of good, yeah.
Yeah, those both are beautiful, but you almost they put them in the water.
Yeah, yeah, I know, really.
Sure.
Jesus, back here.
Somebody was, they're really good at the wooden car, I think, and they have, and all that.
No, we did pretty good, a lot of people came.
Yeah.
Moved to the last few times. When we had it on Bloomington, it was not super.
Continue going.
Yeah.
That's enough for them. And most of them was big.
Well, they had a show up at the. Several years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And, had distributors there.
Oh.
So it was coming.
Is it a longer skirt?
No.
They're long.
Filled the whole
One of
town.
these two, I thought, sure.
I don't remember who put it on.
Seems to be longer.
They had a lot of.
Church would be right. Building.
I bought a
I think like it's.
Samsung, Samsung.
Can I grab it?
Never used it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I used it so
Huh.
big enough to
Let me
make
see if
it
they-
garage. I got one that-
Yeah. I think we all have tools, but.
I don't have room to.
Yeah.
Well, it's fun to turn them. Fun just to start out.
So here's one I just. picked up.
I took one
Yeah,
class,
sure.
and at first. I
Yeah,
thought,
those longer, there's a longer one.
but it was so much fun.
Actually, that's it.
It's
There you go.
like- it's
See, here's
super-
another one.
you're turning off the side,
Sorry about that.
you're turning
Yeah.
something.
Our steak and shit.
They all look the same, huh?
Oh, wow.
I made that when I was in high school. I had to turn that on the outside of the leg
Okay.
and because it won't fit in the bag.
Yeah, yeah. 16.
I
Yeah,
made it out of black.
Sticker.
And I got it done, almost done. And then I took it off the leg and I got it.
Oh, no.
So this is out of it. Big it back up, redid it.
There we go. I found the right one.
And then I went to get a grade. Teacher said, well, I can't give you an A, I gotta give you an A.
What's that?
I said, well,
Oh, I'm broken hearted.
can you see the crack? You couldn't see it. So then later.
Yes,
I wanted
this one
to
is shorter than this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's two different sizes. There should be
Well, that would be-
at least.
You didn't give it-
Hold on.
You're gonna get it in the show. So you give it A minus because of the
Must be
crack that
because
you couldn't see?
I didn't use those anywhere else. I kept those.
You're right.
It's just-
I kept those all by
I
themselves.
got the last laugh on that one. It took a while, but
Oh, I bet.
I think it was a
You still
fit.
have it?
I wasn't really paying enough attention when I took it off. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just a bolt that holds it. I probably got extra. You want another shorter one or a longer one? I've got extras.
I was just curious that, you know, wouldn't have to pull it off for years. I mean, you would have thought.
actually that year.
Yes, I put those in the same bag, so you need it all the same. I mean, the
Well,
bolt.
these were just lying on the table, so it was like.
That one in the chaos here.
Anything,
All right.
so that took care of that idea. Had the plans and everything for it.
Yeah, fine. We're almost there. On the home stretch, I really want to get this done.
Yeah, it's looking good. Oh, it'll run.
He
Yeah,
also included decorative
$80.
handprints all over the side,
Yeah,
just so that you know it was worked on.
Put it in.
they should do that long piece that goes in here for the hook.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Good, we got some.
Something else.
Keller,
I think so, but they have a sleeve on it.
thanks for the donation.
Yeah.
Oh, is it that one there? No, no.
For next month, and then November, we'll get that money. I don't know if I can.
There's one sleeve down.
Well, if you're depositing, you should be able to.
This is just,
If you're taking money out, then it may be.
I wonder if that's what the longer one.
But if your name is
I think it's a
on it,
long one ahead of.
You should.
But it has some sort of sleeve on it. I wonder if the sleeve's on.
Yeah.
Whatever we get.
Is it a
Yeah,
month?
because you got your phone number and everything, your name. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but if it's real close to.
There you go.
She's way out. Okay.
Is it this one that we found on the floor?
But I'll come on.
No, that's just a sleeve.
I think that should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of
Sure.
it all winter and that, you know.
You would need to- you would have an extra bolt.
You're gonna have to call me.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
everything's get what they want.
That's just garbage.
That's the important. thing.
Okay, that's fine. I can fix that later. Let's.
If there's just, Scrollsaw still there.
We have a blade here. We throw
Put
the.
that collar and ask,
Blade was sitting.
as long as it's still
Yeah.
there.
Get another one.
Decided they didn't. I mean, it's a fairly new saw.
Oh, yeah, great. Got the pivot.
Good deal.
Where'd our pivot go? There it is.
It's a good buy. I wish I had done myself.
Give it.
Huh?
Give it to me.
Would it- I'd rather put it in the wall than, that's caliber for.
Until we go. Wait.
I saw a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, I should have gone out these days, so.
Well, you gotta get the dust off and get what's that done. What's all this done?
For the construction project that just. They had to be there. And I couldn't do a whole lot. So I did keep it.
You were the golfer. Huh?
It's the nut. There it is.
Yeah. That's good. You got it done.
You know, if the lights gotta be lined up, just the whole way.
There's, that's what I think, the screw.
We can't make.
There was a screw that went here with a little rod, with a rod. on it.
Yeah, we're going to that.
Yep, and that's from this. I'm not sure where that ended up.
Just like.
I think all it is. One of the leaves, you got a sleeve on it.
We didn't have time.
Can you put dimmers on them? Like,
What happened?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Well, you can, yeah, these can be dim.
Okay.
Yeah, these are those LEDs, so you can dim them.
I had one, I had a dimmer switch in my bedroom,
I think it's essentially just like this.
and I put a dimmer switch in there, all of a sudden, it was the whole dimmer switch.
I don't know what the heck happened to it.
No, this is supposed to work now.
I don't see it on. the
It's basically
floor or
just
anything.
this with a sleeve.
Yeah.
It's a little bigger. Yeah, I don't see it on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's little roads that really fly.
There's nothing in these cups.
Out on the deck, they're just fine, I think.
Oh, sure.
When I put it
Maybe I'll
down.
just this year.
It's okay, it's your name, right?
Yeah. I
Well,
like
that's what
it.
it's more for the bugs, you know, you turn
There's
them
a
on bright,
spoon on
the
there
bugs
that
and see it a
I
mile
think
away.
belongs on the machine.
The black one?
Oh, there's,
No.
is this?
So that's for mine.
You're not gonna believe the old yellow.
Oh.
Yeah, and I don't know what that was, because I was trying to get it into here and it wasn't fitting.
Well, that's, yeah.
Rolls going here.
You get
There's a hole right behind there.
You know,
Ah.
here it is.
Oh, that's where
Well, they're like-
this one goes
some people
into.
come find
That
what they
goes
do
into there,
Go
so.
off the branch and put it up.
Oh, you sure you replaced it with, okay, with the one for that hooks in?
That hooks into there, so that you can go up.
Yep, it'll hook, yep.
We got one red squirrel in our neighborhood.
Well, that's really cool.
Was
Right.
coming to my
you
grocery
won't
last year.
go
and I
down.
set traps, I did everything.
Normally it would,
Son of a gun, when
If something got tightened down.
take it.
It'll loosen up. That's pretty normal. That's actually what you want. They're designed, they're supposed to stay up. But over time, that's because I tightened this one up.
Okay.
If you want it to loosen, you can loosen this bolt right here. That's what's controlling the tension. Let's stick a blade in real quick and just see what we get. I'll put the table back on.
Yeah, the things went on. They're all just covered in bubble.
See if I'm a liar here or not.
Moment of truth, huh?
What phones did you do on the table on? You hear that knocking up? There you go. That's what the table there against.
Surgeon.
But we're just missing that one screw.
Yeah, well, I can certainly find something for you that if we can't find it, I can certainly get something. Fortunately, Dewalt's just use pretty generic screws. They're there's ones you can buy at the hardware store.
Once you figure out what size.
Oh, yeah, that's the board. That goes on this side. Put it on the, I can flip it, it's not.
I think I got a motor. Sure. I got
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, at that.
I was thinking a second.
Yeah, they're, I think.
Oh, really?
I think so. Hey, Troy?
Yeah,
Aren't those circuit boards obsolete now, or
no, you can get them.
you still can?
Mhm.
Yeah, you spend you.
$40.
Oh, really?
They're not too bad. I've got one if someone needs one.
Oh, that was, I gave you, had one in there,
Yep,
and the motor you were able to use,
yep.
that was good. But I told you you had to.
Let's
take
put this
it
on
off.
the stand here and let's see that.
Here's your missing screw with the sleeve.
Aha. There it is. Yeah, I knew it was here. Okay, now let's see. Let's put a blade.
Oops, one blade.
So. See, I knew it was there. I knew we didn't lose it. And then I'll show you how to adjust the tension. Get that to your liking.
Oh, it's mad at doing that, I can do.
But then I'll do the knocking. See how smooth that sounds? They're still getting a little vibration, but it's not. And DeWalt's honestly will, once you get past about 7, I find most of them do vibrate a little.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why it's vibrated. But also if you, once you screw down to the stand, that'll make it a little more stable.
This is not stand that I typically use.
Sure.
So I've got something at home that I typically do, because
There.
I don't have the plate down here to bolt it on.
Here, and I'll show you here, Scott. This screw right here, if you loosen this up, that'll adjust the
That's
tension.
just the tension.
Yep, so if you want to have less tension. Well, that's a lot smoother.
Not due today.
I just sort of threw those like,
Not due to these.
how much is it?
It's like $40.
You see how this bolt comes through and this one doesn't?
And that one's a little longer.
So it won't. like
Coming
if I
through.
get 8 foot up and then it's side,
Really come through there.
and then we got something going up here. It's not-
That's okay.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's an 8 foot table. Yeah.
Be embarrassing, but good. Okay.
Or even one of these, right, wide enough. Let's go on to the other one and then.
There's the sleeve. Skewed.
Yeah, exactly.
Too easy to make a mistake. Well, a little embarrassed to do that. It's an easy fix.
Take the narrow one, or the tough one. No, I have a long chin.
Yeah, the one was stuck. Oh. Put that in there. I dropped it in there. I put it in the wrong spot and accidentally dropped it in there. That's for the Pegasus. Oh, sorry. That's.
Yeah, right.
That was embarrassing. Okay, so then, he was.
No, I don't have to.
That's not.
Fall?
I said, I've got extra. So. Okay.
Well, what have gone? It's gotta be around.
The wrong card. But I've got another one right here. Why I always keep extras.
That's not, that's too long.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know where it went. I mean, we just took it apart and set it right here. Okay, where'd it go? No.
It's wherever you don't look. Find it next week.
Found stuff.
Still looking for it.
Yeah, I know. It's like, where could it go?
We stopped in Georgia.
Probably underneath the stand.
What am I looking for? A little washer?
No, you're probably looking for
Oh, yeah.
No, we didn't.
They don't care. When you go down
There it is. Okay, I didn't have this.
I pull my socks out.
Snap back.
I probably just didn't properly. And before you're gonna talk. There you go. I'm guessing this is like the running, that is common with the ball. I've never had a ball that can run full A without having problems. It's just, they don't like it when it's not. That's pretty good. Yeah. Well, that took a long longer than I thought.
Yeah.
It was very informative, very interesting. And I now know I won't ever do that.
No, you won't do
I'm
that.
going to try to say you.
That's all, folks.
So, yeah. it's still going.
That's all, folks.
That's a take.
Huh?
Oh, wow.